Sometimes if I have a really bad day, like the kids, whatever it is, I'm stressed out. And he comes home and I'll be like, I just need a hug. And he'll say, okay, how was your day? And then I just naturally want to tell him, this is what went wrong. Well, this is what you should do. And this is, I don't need you to fix it.
Yeah.
We want to be good communicators.
Okay,
but
okay.
we're still working. Even after like how many years have we been married? We're still working on it, right?
This is the greatest superpower that God has ever given us. We have the power to choose.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Veggie Bob Vlogs podcast. This is now episode 14. I'm your host, Jimmy, and today we have a comeback guest. Can I say a comeback guest? A reoccurring guest. I guess you're going to be a reoccurring guest. My sister, Maria. Hello, say everybody. Hi to the camera. Hello. So, again, this is episode 14. Thank you for coming on and doing this podcast with me again. My feedback is everybody who I've talked to, who's seen it, enjoyed your last one. Did you end up watching it?
I did after like a week or something. I had no plans of watching it because you know how nervous I am just to be here. So I can't even watch it. I get nervous.
Really?
Just watching it.
But you enjoyed it?
I get so conscious, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I laughed and I cried.
That was emotional. It was an emotional roller coaster like this.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm ready for Reg to watch it yet. So,
is he planning on watching it?
he wanted to watch it. I changed the subject.
I think, honestly, okay, so just dealing with the relationships, I think if he watches it, even if he watches it with you, I think you should watch it with him.
Yeah.
I think you should.
I
Totally.
definitely
I think you should.
Yeah.
I think he's going to feel, at the end of it, more loved.
Oh.
More loved and more respected. Because you know how as guys, it's like, dude, I'm the head of the household, like, I want to be respected.
Yeah. Right.
But I think getting it all without him allowing himself to interfere with you, he'll see kind of the bigger picture and life through the lens of his wife. Right? And I think just him grasping that understanding, I honestly think your relationship will go in a better direction.
Yeah.
Because they'll have, again, we all view life with a certain lens, like I was just saying about 5 minutes ago, right? So I don't think he really gets the opportunity to view. I'm not going to say listen. I'm sure he listens, but to actually put himself in your glasses, your field of view from how you see things in your relationship with your family, right? Because I know with Bianca, when she's watching it, mind you, she doesn't want to, but I just show her. She understands more and more. It's like, oh, this is what Jimmy's perspective is. But mind you, the way Bianca's personality is, she's just really easy to get along, and she's really understanding.
She is.
I know.
Most women are.
I'm blessed.
But the thing is, too, Jimmy, what you were saying, how if you watched it, I feel like the biggest plus there would be he wouldn't be able to interrupt me. And this is what I found with our relationship, because I always thought we want to communicate, but we're not really sometimes good at it. So
what do you mean you want to communicate? Like you want to say something, or you want to listen?
We want to be good communicators.
Okay,
but we're still working. Even after like how many years have we been married? We're still working on it, right? And I think it's because there's a little bit of selfishness, of course, there, because you want to be heard, right?
Oh, totally.
And the worst thing I hate is when you're talking over each other. And so what I tend to do is if he's talking, because I want to listen, right? Because I feel like I'm a good listener.
Oh, you totally are. I feel the same way.
I really listen because I know I listen because whenever we talk and he says something, whatever it is, a criticism or like constructive something, right? Constructive. I go to God sometimes immediately, sometimes later, so it's not so obvious, but it's just. You want to get your point across. And so for me and Reg, our biggest challenge is, okay, you go first. I'm not going to interrupt you. His weakness, I'm going to say, is quite honestly, he interrupts because he won't let me finish. He's not as well of a listener as I am, because I will let you go on and I will wait until you have nothing else left to say. And then I'll talk. But because he wants to, he's a fixer too. So that's a struggle with us, because when I come to him with a problem, I don't know if you get this with Bianca, but most girls, I'm pretty sure, are like me too. I can't be the only one. Sometimes if I have a really bad day, like the kids, whatever it is, I'm stressed out. And he comes home and I'll be like, I just need a hug. And he'll say, okay, how was your day? And then I just naturally want to tell him, this is what went wrong. Well, this is what you should do. And this is, and I don't need you to, I don't need you to fix it.
Yeah.
He can't seem to grasp that. And I'll continually, always, consistently tell him, I don't need you to fix it. So what I found has worked for us is now, because I know he's like that, I start with that. And I'll be like, hon, okay, don't try to fix it.
Okay.
I just need a hug. I don't want you to say anything.
So you're very clear with the instruction.
Yeah, I just need you to listen. I already know what I need to do because I pray.
Yeah.
Right? So I really don't need you to fix it. I already know what I need to do. I just need to get it out. I need to tell someone.
And I need you to love me.
I just need you to, and don't judge me. Don't fix it. Just please don't fix it. Don't say anything. And he struggles. He's like, and he'll literally make those faces just to make me laugh. Yeah. But that's what we need. That's what girls need.
Again, you're wired differently.
You guys like to fix things, right?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge we have. And so I do want him to watch our last,
totally.
Because there's so much there that I need him to know.
And you need him, that you were able to get out.
Yeah, and I don't need him to defend himself or to say anything. Just listen, get what I'm saying, understand that I do love you, and reward me somehow.
I think with that, like if he does watch it, do you think during the video he'll interrupt?
He will. Yeah, definitely. He will.
Can I add something?
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Yeah.
Okay, but just to add to that, I think, so this is a problem I have as a guy. I don't know if Reg may have this issue, but the other reason why we want to interject while you're saying something isn't just because, I got a solution. Let me tell you right away. But the other issue is it's our communication skill level of remembering everything that I want to say. So before this is literally what's going on in my head. Before I forget, it's like, before I forget, this is what I want to tell you before we go on to something different. Because again, I've been practicing this with Bianca, even with my relationships at work. It's allowing the other person to say everything they want to say and making mental notes of what to respond or how to respond, or if I even have a response to whatever topic or whatever it is they said, and to go back. So it's just remembering, I remember you said this, there was something I wanted to say, but I'm going to forget.
Okay, so I have to interrupt.
Yes.
Okay, I can understand that, but look, you're a lot younger than Reg. I understand that with Reg.
Yeah.
He's getting, and we're forgetful. Sometimes we forget what we're fighting about. We won't even know.
You know what? Some people do at work for exercises. I see this happening in meetings. I know it may be a little silly or weird at first, but even I did it at one point with my phone as Bianca's talking to me. I'll just be like, okay.
You're taking notes?
To help me remember, she'll say something about something that triggers her at work. And I'll be like, yo, this is a great solution. So I'll just be like, and I'll just make a quick note. Again, at first,
that's going to look like to us, right? You're not paying attention.
That's the thing. And then Bianca's like, why are you on your phone? And this is where we have to communicate. I communicate. I'm like, I'm going to forget. I'm very honest. I'm like, I'm going to forget. That's why I'm taking notes, because I don't want to interrupt you while you're sharing whatever it is you need to share. But there's something I want to say that has to go along with what you're saying. I'm just taking down notes because I want to practice getting better at communicating.
Well, that's really nice, because at least you're aware.
I'll even say there's an intention behind it. These past few months, there has been a very focused and very intentional decision for me to communicate better. That's always at the top of my list, at the top of my head. That's always going on. Even when I'm driving to work, it's how can I be a better communicator? And where are some situations where I can apply whatever it is I've learned or whatever it is God has told me? One of those things, again, just being note-taking. Do you think Reg would do something like that? If you were to, or do you think he even has that problem? Because for me, I did.
Oh, he has a real problem remembering. Like I'm telling you.
But short term,
long term, any term.
Both.
I just assumed that it was all guys in general, but I really think now that it's just Reg.
It's just Reg?
Or maybe it's just he's got so much on his mind.
I think,
But,
yeah, now that you mention it.
memory, like I keep telling him, you have selective memory, because
A lot
when
of
it
guys
comes
do.
to like criticizing me, you remember all those things, but you don't remember,
You know what it is? Maybe
And it's
growing
because he's a
up.
fixer too, right? He'll remember the things that he needs to fix for me.
Because that's the way his brain
Yes,
is
because
wired.
he always just wants everything to go smoothly. He wants everything perfect. You know what I mean? So those are the things, and which is what I understand, and that's what gets on his nerves too. Those pet peeves that he has, because he wants everything perfect. Whereas me, you know how you have the problem with the cleanliness?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, well, Wedge is not at that level, but he's like
Gee, thanks.
just a couple down
okay.
there. He could be potentially
Okay.
if I let it go.
Yeah.
But we're very different, right?
Yeah.
Like growing up with Nana and Tate, like
Again,
you
yeah.
know, right? Okay, like
No rules.
Yeah, no rules. But
Very
like I mean, like
liberated.
even with I don't even know where you got your cleanliness thing from, because
I'm the only one who's
yeah,
this
you are. Like,
clean.
I mean, like, well, you're borderline. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're
what do you call it?
compulsive.
ADD?
Yeah. Compulsive. What do you call
Deficit
it?
disorder? I don't know.
No. Deficit. Okay.
Don't ask. My mind's everywhere
Yeah.
right now.
Well, no, because it's like well, I hate the word anal, but that's like,
Yeah, I'm totally anal. I know. That's why I have tools
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
be so
Yeah,
anal.
but
so
you have to give a lot of grace to Bianca with that, because that could eventually lead to problems where she's doing it because she loves you, keeping it up, right?
Yeah.
But it can become a burden to her if
if it's not kept under control.
because the enemy will try to use it, get in
The-
every little yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's why I haven't been asking her to do a lot lately. It's just been,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
can you do the dishes? But there are times where she's like, I don't want to do the dishes. I'm like, I don't want to do the dishes too. And then I'll make a deal with her. I'll be like, all right, if you do the dishes, you know what? Because she usually does the laundry. I'm like, I'll do all the laundry. I'll be like, I'll even load it. And she'll be like, fine. And that's when she knows, like, so I really don't want to do it. Because usually when she really doesn't want to do it, she'll tell me and I'll just give it and I'll be like, fine, I'll do it. But there have been a few times lately, just lately, where it's like, I need to make a deal with her because I really can't do this. Like, I'll just make her do that one thing. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's what it is. It's compromise, right? But one of the things I had to learn that's been so hard for me, I'll give you an example. And Reg watches it, he's just going to be either laughing or crying or really mad at me. But he can't stand it. And even Mama told me this. His
Really?
mom. Yeah. He can't stand it when you don't put your coat up in the closet. Or if you don't put your bag where it's supposed to.
Where's
right?
the bag supposed to be?
I guess in my room.
Oh,
to get
okay,
into
okay.
The world. I
Okay.
guess. But like the coats are like a really big thing. And I learned that early on. And I used to just ignore it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like it's just a
Because we would just throw our coats on the
course,
on the
right?
chair or whatever. Yeah.
So, well, to him, that's what the closet's for, which, yes, it is.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like, put it away.
I don't argue with that. But my thing is, when I'm dropping off the kids and I take my coat off, I know in a couple hours I'm going out again.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to go all the way, and I'm always rushing, and so I'm going to be late. So I'm going to put it where it's convenient, and I'll put it on the chair. And whenever he comes home and he sees that, he gets really upset.
It's like me
He gets really upset.
with the dirty
and
table.
I can't, for the life of me, understand, like, why are you getting so angry over a jacket?
I understand.
And then when I try to defend myself and like the logic of it, it's so much faster. He'll always have something to say, like, well, then that means you're rushing. So if you don't have time to go there and you're doing that because you need to go fast, that means you're rushing. So that's already like you're already doing something wrong, right? So I'm like, oh my goodness. So you know what? I had to get to the point. Like seriously, everything happens in my prayer closet, Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's when God just
Tells you this, tells you that.
yeah, I feel like I'm a
this.
nail and he's just hammering me all the time. Because every time I go to complain about something, like I said, every time I go to complain about Reg, God takes a side. Oh my God, like seriously, like I'm the one bawling my eyes out here and he's getting everything he wants. Like that's what I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Because like even with that issue, I'll be like, Lord, like why do I, like I have a good reason. Why do I have to change? Can't he compromise? Like, can't he compromise? And God will just be like, yeah, he can. But you're the one that's here praying with me. So I guess I'm dealing with you, right? This hand is swelling. But anyway, so then that's what it took. It took my time with God and God telling me to change it. And so Reg would always accuse me of like, I don't want you to do it just because you feel you have to. I don't want you to be forced to. And I'm like,
I understand that.
And at first I was, and I would put my coat away and I'd be so angry about it every time. And I'd be like, see, you didn't even notice that I put it away, you know? So there was that attitude. And then eventually God broke me down and I was like, okay, God, I submit. Okay, I love this man. What is it? Why is it so hard for me? So then I realized it was my pride. It's just your pride. It's just your pride.
Pride,
right?
ego.
Like, it's just your pride. And then I started doing it with the attitude of, I love him. Like, this is such a little thing. It's such a small thing. And I made such a big, huge deal about it. Imagine, I'm bawling. I'm complaining to God over this really dumb thing, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when God, through the Holy Spirit, convicts you and changes your way, because it's your thinking. It's your thinking. When he does that, everything is just so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Like I do it, and even if Reg accuses me, are you doing it because you're being forced to? No, you were right.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
I don't openly say it's because I love you, but that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And so it's so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the God pounding you down and like working with but I still want you to change.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the thing that he's not the one in here with me.
It's you.
It's you.
Yeah.
So you must want to change. So change.
I got a question, because this has happened with me in my previous relationship, where I'd always think, because usually when I'm talking to God, it's me talking with God.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, I'm talking with you, God, and you're dealing with me, but are they talking to you and are you dealing with them? Do you ever think that?
Yeah, I always think that.
And then I'd always judge without me even realizing I'm already judging. I'd be like, what do you do in the morning? You have your quiet time in the morning? Like, you haven't been spending much time with God, so, there's... And I'm like, it's so frustrating.
Well, no, because you feel it's so unfair, right? Like, why are you doing all the changing? Just like what I said before. Why do I have to change? What am I doing? Like, what about him?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But that's not, but then that's conditional. Then you get to the conditional
love. That is true. So you can even, because I know with Bianca, I'll say this, Bianca's going to watch it anyways, whatever. So, because I know with Bianca, even she's admitted, she's like, I haven't really been having my quiet time with God just because I'm so busy. Like, that's her excuse. Yeah. Excuse, which is... That's what it is. Like, that's literally exactly what it is. And it's like, if you really want to have your quiet time, you would. Like, you'd make time for it, right? And I'm like, but I'll find time for me to do mine, right? And she again, when I bring it up, that's why I try not to bring it up. At times, I'm like, I don't even know how to bring it up without her making her feel like judged. Yeah, because at times it's just like, I'm honestly not trying to make you feel bad. It's just, I kind of want to put that on your radar sort of thing. As a loving husband, because it's benefited me so much. Like, I've been blessed in a sense of, I can always have my quiet time in the morning, because it always takes me at least a minimum of an hour to get to work.
You know what? That's the best.
By myself. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, I'm really blessed to have this. And I'm like, I don't ever want this to change, but I'm sure somewhere down the road, it's going to change. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be flexible. Even if my quiet time is only like 10 minutes, right? And before I go to bed or whatever, I'm like, I always want to make that intentional effort to just kind of put
and there's the word intentional.
Yeah.
It has to be intentional.
It has to be, because we're going to forget.
Yeah.
Like, if we're not intentional about it, it's just, we're just going to go with the flow with how life goes.
And another thing, the struggle is with it's your flesh, right? It's your
what you feel. It's what you feel.
It took me a long time to even get into the routine of having my quiet time. So now when Reg leaves in the morning, he leaves around 6:30, sometimes earlier, 5:30. When he wakes up, I'm awake. Okay. And because I'm awake, I'm like, okay, if I fall back asleep, there's a tendency that I might not have as much time as I want. So I just stay up 5:30. I was telling the girls the other day, I was like, I had such a wonderful time with God this morning, because I got up at, I think it was 5:30. And then by the time I went through my whole playlist in my, on my Prime
Amazon, music, whatever.
Yeah. it was like 9 o'clock. My alarm was going up. I'm like, 9 o'clock. How do you?
It's been that long.
Do that for that long? And I'm thinking, because I didn't know. I was like, did I fall asleep? I know I didn't, because I was singing all the songs. But then that's not how long my playlist was, but it kept going to stuff that no, it didn't repeat. Okay. It goes to songs that I don't even know. You know how it's suggested songs, whatever.
Don't go to your suggested
because
songs.
I know I wasn't singing the rest of them because I didn't know them. But then after that, because I do my what is it, year in a Bible, but it's audio. Okay. Because if I read, I'll fall asleep. So I picked the dramatic one. You know how you can pick the voice. So with the sound effects and everything, and then after that, I'm praying. And the thing with me is, if I'm awake now after I've done my worship and I'm already crying. Mm-hmm. And then, so I was telling Reg, you have no idea who I pray for, do you? Yeah. I don't just pray for our family, because whoever God puts in my mind, I'll end up praying for like the whole church. Like, I'm seriously,
who's ever in
just bless so-and-so. It's like, Lord, whatever they're doing, whatever their job is, like whatever I know of them, that's the area that I'll pray for, right? Pray for. And then if he puts something else in my head about them, then, and it just goes on. So like I said, I'm like, how many hours did I spend? Like 4 hours? Who does that? Like, that was the longest I've gone. Wow. Like, seriously, because I was shocked at the time, and I was like, Lord, wow, it was so good to spend time with you. I didn't even know I was there for that long. Yeah. But like before, it would be so hard
to even last like 10 minutes.
To get up. Like, but that's only when you're not intentional about it and you don't make it a priority. But like, I see the value in it, because my day is so different.
It's a better day.
So different. Like, if I don't pray in the morning, like let's say I was just like, I woke up late, or I stayed up late.
So you just get to whatever you need to do.
I get to what I need to do. Oh my gosh, yung init ng ulo ko. Yeah. Like,
the temper in your head.
Oh my God. Like the, what's the?
You got like a short wick.
Short-tempered.
Short wick, yeah.
Yeah, like even with the kids, you know, like anything. And I'll be like, and then what ends up happening is after I've dropped them all off, I'll be crying all the way home, because I'll be, Lord, I'm so sorry. Like, I took it out on them, but it was my fault because I didn't start my day off with you. Yeah. And like, and this is coming from me. I'm pretty consistent with my time with the Lord, but you see how just one moment that you didn't spend time. It's your mind that's being renewed every single day. Yeah. It is a constant, taking up your cross, being renewed, transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Well, that's what Jesus did.
It's your mind. Yeah. It's your mind. It's a battle. And even with Reg, I noticed like there were things that trigger him, and I tried to tell him, two different personalities. Like 1 minute you're like, good morning, hon, and then like 2 seconds later you're like, this is bothering you, and I'm like, what is going on? So like the enemy, and I'm very aware of our spiritual battle, the enemy is always there,
because you can see it. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're
walking in the spirit,
that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because you're sensitive then, right? And you always want to be sensitive. And so when the enemy's attacking, you even know when it's you.
How could you put that into words where non-Christians would understand exactly what you're saying? Like, because we say when you're walking in the spirit, you're aware of the enemy. Like, to non-Christians, I've always thought about this. It's like, how do I explain this relationship, this awareness I have with God, with the enemy, and myself, right? To people who don't know God.
Well, I don't think that people would really understand that. See, we're thinking they should understand this, or they would.
But they don't.
They don't.
Because sometimes they're trying to share.
It's impossible because they don't have the Holy Spirit. How would you have the Holy Spirit if you don't even have a personal relationship with God, right? Yeah. Like, have you ever had times when, and I tell Reg these things, there's so many times when God will just speak something to me, and I won't know why. And I always thought, Lord, how do we hear from you? Because I know the girls have asked me, how do we hear from God?
I get that question a lot.
And I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, he speaks in different ways, but when he speaks, you will know, because the question is, how will you know it's him? Right? Because that's the biggest question. How will you know it's him? And for me, when I first became a Christian, nobody gave me like a conference, booklet of how you hear from God and how do you know. No, all I did was spend more time with God. I read his word.
That's it.
You read his word, because one of the ways you will know whether it's God or not, or even yourself, it has to be in line with God's
what
word.
God says in the Bible.
And if it doesn't, then
it's not God. It's either you or the enemy.
Yeah. And sometimes our mistake is, or our temptation there is, well, you try to twist it so that it goes in line with, what you're hearing, because you want whatever it is you're hearing. So I'll just give you an example. One time when I was, this was a few years back, I was washing the dishes. Okay. I was alone and all the kids were at school. This was way before COVID, I think. And I was washing the dishes and God said, go for a drive. Yeah. And so I'm the kind of person that if God says something and I know it's God, I stop what I'm doing. I'm not going to be like, okay, just a minute. Let me finish this. Yeah. Like, okay. I just stopped, washed my hands, got my coat. I remember I got my coat and I went in the car. And then I was like, okay, God, where do you want me to go? Because he literally said, drive. Go in your car and drive. Go and drive. Yeah. And I heard nothing, crickets. So I'm like, okay, well, I know you said drive, so I'm just going to go to Walmart. Might as well do some shopping, right? Yeah. So I go to Walmart. I'm there for about, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. And then in my mind, I'm thinking the whole time, maybe God wanted me to meet someone here, because you have all these things going through.
Could be anything.
Right. It could be anything, because that's all he said, just go for a drive. And so I'm there. And then finally, I'm like, well, I didn't see anybody here. Okay, I got some groceries. I'm going home, God. Okay, get home, finish doing the dishes. At night, when I go to have my devotion, I'm having my quiet time with him. I'm like, Lord, why did you? I didn't question, was that you? And I was like, God, why did you want me to go? And you know what he said to me? I just wanted to see if you would obey. And then I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me where to drive? Because you didn't need any other instructions. I just needed to see if you would go and drive. And I was like, okay. Oh, and then that was it. That was the end of it. But there was, I don't know if I told you this. I think I did. I told Reg this, and I'll tell you how we reacted. And then you tell me what you think. But one time, same thing happened. I think I was having my quiet time, and the Lord told me do you know how on our street, there's that Trinity Church?
Yes.
Right? There's a little like foyer there, like a little silong. And there was a homeless guy that would always be there. He would sleep there, basically, okay? So every time I drive the kids, we'd pass by it, because you would pass by it. And one time God said, go and talk to him, give him some food, right? So I said, oh, okay, God. And this is the one time I didn't do it right away. I was like, okay, I'll do that, because I have to plan this out. And my thinking is, okay, I'll do that. But like, okay, how do I get over there? Because it's across the street and I can't park to save my life. And I'll park, like seriously, frontward, backward, sideways, I cannot park. So I was thinking, okay, well, then I can't park, so I'm gonna have to walk. Okay, so I gotta check the weather because it's cold, blah, blah, blah. Okay, to make a long story short, it took me like 3 weeks. I don't know how long it took, but I didn't do it. But I was totally planning to obey God. And then one time when I was driving home, at that church, there was a harang. They put like these steel, not bars, but mesh thing to cover it.
Like a fence.
Yeah. So the guy wasn't there anymore. You know what? I went home and I was bawling my eyes out. And I was like, oh my gosh, Lord. Yeah. Why did it take me so long to obey you?
How long did it take? Like 3 weeks?
I don't know. It took a
while. Okay.
And I made all these excuses, but Lord, you know my heart. And that's what I always, whenever I do something.
That's a go-to excuse.
Whenever I do something, I disobey, I sin or whatever. That is my go-to excuse. But you know, Lord, take my heart. Come on, take my heart. Yeah. You know it, and he knows. Of course he knows. But the point was, why did it take me so long? And you know what? The consequence of that, Jimmy, and this is why I always remind myself, I'm not, for the life of me, never going to let that happen again. Because it took me months, I don't even know, maybe almost a year to get over it. Because God didn't condemn you, right? But it was just me condemning myself, like, what kind of a...
Yeah.
Like, how could you not, like, you can go and drive to Walmart and but you couldn't give this homeless guy, you
food. Yeah.
And I'm like, what if, and then all of these things come into your head, like, what if that I was the only one that could have shared the gospel or, or whatever, right? Because there must have been a reason. And so through that, God taught me, you know what? When he says to do something,
just do it.
No excuses.
Yeah.
Just do it. But the thing is, that was out of my comfort zone, like totally out of, like, I wouldn't have even known what to say to him. So I told Reg this. It took me after a year, maybe. I didn't tell him. I don't share these things with him, right? And the first thing he said was, "Oh, well, you shouldn't just do that. You have to tell me so that because you have to be safe." Okay. And then I was thinking, yeah, but if I think that way, then that would have just kept me from obeying God right away. Because I believe if God spoke to me, he would protected me, and he knows nothing is going to happen. Yeah. Right. But that's how I think. So, but it took me a long time before my devotion time with God was the same. Like I was still having my devotion, my prayer time, but it was so different.
You felt bad.
I felt so bad. And when there's that feeling or that sin or that disobedience there, it's just so horrible to like get back. Like I didn't even want to spend time with God. I did it, let's say out of obligation or out of guilt even.
I wouldn't even say out of guilt, but it was a habit too.
It's a habit, yeah, definitely. But like, it wasn't the same because of that guilt and that, what I felt was like I was being condemned, but by myself, really. And it was the enemy too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the good thing about that is, this is what I was going to ask, is you still had that sensitivity of, I feel bad for actually not obeying God. Same thing like a kid. Like when you're telling these two stories, like go to Walmart, go give the homeless guy food. The whole, I guess you can say the whole emotion, the whole aura behind it, for lack of better words, is that of a kid. Just wanting to do,
like you got caught not doing something,
or it's like you just did what your parents did, or what your parents asked, right? And it says in the Bible, like we're to be childlike
in our faith. Yeah,
that's exactly what it is, and that's exactly how you are. And I'm believing, because I see it, is you've been like that your whole life. And that's one trait that I actually look up to you about. Maybe that's why, because I take it to like a next level of being childlike. It'll come out of my personality. And the way I speak and the things I like. And I'm not ashamed of it. Like, I remember in my previous relationship, I got judged for it.
You mean how loud you are, obnoxious, and
even the things that I like. It's like, why do you like that? It's like, dude, you're like 30. I remember I was told this, but me having such a strong personality, it's like, I like what I like. And then that was the end of it. It's like, you can't use that against me. You can't make me feel bad for it. It's like, this is the way God made me. It's like,
exactly.
I like these things, right? And it's just being childlike. But then she would say, are you sure it's not childish? And for a moment, maybe for a couple days, I thought about it. I'm like, am I being childish or am I being childlike? And that's when I had my quiet time with the Bible. Guess what first came up? Be childlike in our faith with God, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not being childish. And at the end of it,
what, Jimmy, this is what I'll say. With your personality, well, because I grew up with you, right? Change your diapers.
Didn't you eat my poop? No, that was
no,
not
you. Oh yeah, no, it was not.
Okay, that's a story for another time. That's a story for another time.
Yeah, but you know what? God, this is what I understand. God made us exactly the way we are with our character. There are some characters that we develop,
characteristics,
that God would want to change because He builds our character, right?
Yep.
But there are our personality, I guess that's what you would say, is what we have like ingrained in us from our parents or whatever, right? You are the only one that can reach a certain people. It would only be you that would reach them because of your personality. Do you know what I mean? So never forget that, and never think that, sometimes you're too loud. But like I said, there are some people in this world that will only respond
to the really loud people. You think the quiet people will respond to that? Because they're quiet.
Well, I think God will send the right people your way.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I think He already has.
I trust that that's how God works.
I believe He already has, especially in the marketplace, in the workplace, if I say marketplace, I mean like in the workplace, right? I can already think.
Because you're winning them over by your personality, and it starts with relationships. So they don't even need to know that you're a Christian yet, because
I don't tell them.
Exactly. So that when they do, hopefully you're not doing those, like inappropriate stuff, jokes and stuff, but they see you as you're just a normal human being that can be yourself. And then when you present the gospel, it's so much easier for them to receive it.
I find loving them first helps so much.
Well, you have to gain that trust, right? Yeah.
Oh, totally. Because I've seen this a lot too, where I've seen some Christians where they would just share the gospel and it's like, God loves you, blah, 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 XYZ, He died for our sins. But meanwhile, they don't show it in their daily lives and in their actions and the words they speak.
Okay.
And then there are times where I talk to them, they'd be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, I go to XYZ church. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I never would have guessed, because your words and your actions say otherwise.
Yeah.
Where when I share it, usually they'll find out I'm a Christian is when I'll say, I know this is going to sound weird, but can I pray for you? Like, I don't say I'm a Christian. I just be like, yo, can I pray for you?
Yeah.
And they're like, and they're always caught off guard. They're like, oh. And they always say yes.
Well, that's actually a good way to go about it. You know, is can I pray for you? Because then,
I find it works a lot.
Yeah.
Again, maybe this just works for me. I don't know. I'm just, I believe it's the Holy Spirit prompting me because I'm not always looking for I'm never looking for those situations. They just kind of sort of pop up because I find in the workplace, majority of it's in the workplace, people just open up to me. Like sometimes I'm caught off guard and I'll be like, why'd that person just tell me that? Like, I didn't even ask.
See, if you weren't sensitive to the Holy Spirit and if you were living in your flesh, you might miss those things.
Oh, totally.
But the fact that you're aware of it means you're walking in the Spirit.
Right? Oh, mind you, there are some days I do not walk in the Spirit.
Yeah. And God gives you grace for that.
Those are the days
and he
where
protects the other people. Is what I would like to say. Right? Isn't that how wonderful is that we can even fail and God will still cover us for the sake of those people that might be affected
not for you,
by us, right? Yeah. See, that's how much he loves us, right? So it's just
That's funny. Actually, one of the things I also wanted to bring up, I brought it up earlier, it's just how we can love people without even feeling like we love them. Yeah. I'm going to say that again. This is an eye-opener for me. You can love people without you feeling like you love them. And
without your emotions.
Without any emotions. Because mind you, I'll say this, you can love somebody while feeling like you're so angry, mad, frustrated at them. And I'll say this too, I'll add to it. This can go on for days, months,
your entire marriage.
Yeah, like it's not just a one-time thing. Sometimes it can go on for a long period of time. But what I'm going through and what I'm realizing is how much or how long you don't feel the love is totally dependent on you, like myself.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, you can't change people. The only person that can change
is how you react to the person too.
That's exactly how it is. Like, again, what I was telling you earlier. So my relationship with Tatai is, I love him. Do I feel like I love him at times? 90%? No. But I find myself just in autopilot mode doing the most loving things for him. Because it's like, dude, I'm doing his laundry. I'm making sure he don't smell because I don't want him to smell. Not for my sake, but it's actually for his sake. Because, again, I don't really smell things, so smell doesn't really bother me because I don't have a sensitive nose. Meanwhile, Bianca has the most sensitive nose ever. So, again, I'm making sure his laundry's clean. I'm making sure he's taking a shower. Ask him to take a shower. If not that, you smell. Go take a shower. Thank God he's not sensitive to those type of words where it's like, oh, I smell. I'll just go take a shower. Maybe, right? But again, I'm not doing it for my sake. It's not selfish. I'm realizing, I'm like, wait, why am I telling him these things? And why am I smelling his clothes and his socks and his pants to make sure if it's clean or not? Because sometimes I smell them and like, because I don't know. Because what he'll do is his dirty clothes, he'll fold it, put it back in the closet.
Okay.
And I've told him so many times, and this is the frustrating part, where it's like, I told you so many times, like, if it's dirty, just put it in the hamper. And then I'll get the, yeah. And you know how I know it's dirty? One, they smell. Two, he's got candy and Kleenex in his pockets. And I'm like, these have been worn already. And it's like, frustrates me. But again, I'm not doing it for my sake, so I don't have to smell him. But I'm doing it for his sake because at the end, I just realized it's like, dude, I don't want you to smell. Like, I want you to be clean. I want you to look your best. I want you to smell your best just because I know you'll feel better. And I guarantee it. He feels better with clean clothes. But sometimes he doesn't even realize it himself. Because he's like, oh, whatever, they're still good. He's got drool and stains and dirt, and he's got his food all like, right? But lately I've been doing that, and I've come to the realization where it's like, oh my gosh, I think I really love him.
Of course you do.
I think it's a completely different. Sorry, let me rephrase this. I really love him on a completely different level that I think a lot of people don't even experience. Because they think if my feelings don't align with love, what I believe love is, then I don't love him.
It's sort of like, just thinking back, when me and Reg have like tampuhan. What is that in English?
Tantrum.
Tampuhan is like, no, not really yeah, I guess. Okay, maybe. I don't
That's
know.
the best
Is
word.
it? It's not the word, but it's the closest, I guess, right? So like, hindi kami nagpapansinan. We won't like, we'll ignore each other.
It'll be like the silent treatment.
Right? Yeah. So I won't talk to him, and yet I will still make him soup. I will still get everything ready for him. Do you know what I mean?
Acts of service.
Still, yeah.
Because that's a love language.
I still love you. We may not be getting along right now. I might be really, really angry with you, but it's not going to stop me from taking care of you.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But the feelings thing, you have to get over it. That's something God has to deal with.
You think that guy gets over that? With the full feeling things?
He knows, because when he talks to me about you, when you yell at him, but like in the back of my mind, I know because you talk loud, and I've just noticed this now because I used to think, is Jimmy really being mean to you, Thay? Because the way he tells me, you know how he went those, of course he's angry at the time or hurt, so he'll just say, yeah, he got mad at me again for this, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, well, like Jimmy's really loud to begin with, so because I know you're doing that because you can't hear. Right?
90% of the time, that's what it is. Know what?
The thing is with that, he will say, oh, Jimmy's, I know, but I know he loves me. In the same, like right after, he'll be like, oh, I know he loves me. He's always asking me what I want to eat. He's always doing. So I'm like, okay, as long as you know. So, you know what I mean? So he knows.
That hit a chord with me.
Like he can complain about it all he wants, but in the same sentence, he'll go on and on about, oh, I know Jimmy. Oh, he's always asking me, what do you want to eat? That he's so concerned about me. So yeah, so keep it up. Yeah. It is. It's like our relationships are all based on emotions, right? Yeah. So
a majority of it, a lot of it's not based on.
But I think once you get to the point where you realize that you can love someone not based on that, if you can do that,
I'm there. I'm there with that. Like I'm realizing it. Sorry, I'm not there. I think I'm always going to be getting there.
Well, that's our goal as Christians. For me, that's my goal with my kids, unconditional. And I can't tell you how many times they've made me cry. Like just sometimes, you'll understand, I guess, when you're a parent, and maybe it's harder because you're a mom, because you do everything and we don't kind of get appreciated for it, right? And so like take me here and bring me there and then do this, and then you ask them to do one thing and they don't do it. It goes with Reg too or whatever. But you feel hurt, right? But then once you get to the point where you're like, I still love them so much. Like no matter how they hurt me. Like today, I was just telling you, something just bothered me. And so I was like, I had it in my mind, I'm going to stay here.
You're always welcome here.
I'm going to stay here and I'm going to hide out until I pick up Anne at 10:30.
That's fine.
But then now, having talked about this, now
you're ready to go back. It's funny how just you're being able to get it out without anybody interrupting.
Right. Yes. That's the main point.
Helps a lot. Helps a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're going to be what is it? Reoccurring guest on this podcast. Maybe not every week, but that's really.
Well, it's these conversations that you learn so much from. Like I learned so much from you.
Really?
Even though,
Like what?
Yeah.
You're older than me.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know you're like what?
But you know what? Like just even your wisdom when it comes to marriage. How I wish that you, like the stuff that the stuff that you do. You heard all of the stuff that me and Reg have gone through, right? But
I learned from your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly, and that's great. But like you and Bianca, I think you guys are, I guess because you both went to Bible college and you both have,
very good relationship with God, and we're we have the same values, sort of thing.
Yeah, you're on the same page, and so.
Are you on the same page with Reg for the most part?
For the most part,
Like at least at the foundational level?
Yes,
At
yes.
the foundational level? Okay.
Yeah, we're there.
Because I'm like, you wouldn't really be married.
That's the
right?
biggest. That's the biggest struggle I think with just me and Reg is
Being on the same page.
yeah. But I've come to realize that you don't need to be.
No.
Because you're both on different journeys. So like you're both on different, walks with God, and you're at different levels. Yeah.
I think your relationship with Reg is my relationship with Tatai. If that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe.
Does it make sense?
Maybe.
Oh. Okay, hold on. Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you've learned from me that you've learned? Because I've learned so much from you. Dude, you've taught me so many things.
I think with I remember Reg, he was telling me that you said before, but you didn't actually, or maybe you did before. What you thought about marriage was, remember we were talking about covenant and contract? Yeah, and I always remembered you even before you were married. I think to youth maybe or to Bible study saying that it's that marriage is about two complete people.
Yes.
Coming together.
I said that multiple times.
And I remember questioning myself thinking, are we two complete people? And I remember thinking, is the enemy using this against me? Because now he's making me doubt that we were
two complete people.
Yeah. But those there are little things that you say, and I can't remember them all now. But when I get home, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that makes a lot of sense. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm learning it from Jimmy.
Oh, I remember one of the things I told you that you didn't know, and I was shocked that you didn't know. I remember because I called you while I was pooping on the toilet. I remember. Like it was yesterday. I was still in Bible college, and we were talking about faith, what faith was. And I was so shocked that you didn't know.
What did I say?
It's like, this is what faith and unbelief is. Remember? So imagine you have like two horses.
Okay.
And this is what faith is. Faith is in the, oh my gosh, how did I word this? Oh my gosh. I need to share this again. Or I need to keep saying this because I forget how I put this. But faith is basically, so you have unbelief in the middle, and you have a horse here, and you have a weight in the middle, and you have another horse. So imagine you have a weight in the middle.
Yeah.
You have a horse here,
and
you have another horse in the back.
Yeah.
And what unbelief is a horse going this way, thinking, oh no, this is me trying to believe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have
faith,
unbelief pulling in the opposite direction, and that's why you can't move forward with your faith
because of the unbelief. So you want the unbelief to go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just believe.
Yeah.
So what you got to do is you got to get rid of the unbelief.
It's not gaining more faith or gaining more of the belief.
It's getting rid of the unbelief. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I remember when I learned that at Bible school, I'm like, oh my God, there's like 90% of the church don't know this because I've never heard it taught that way.
Because we're always emphasizing on this is what faith is. Which is, faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you don't see.
Yes.
But people forget that there's the unbelief there that's hindering you from actually moving forward.
Okay, so this is something that I've recently heard, and I'm like, this is another good way to put it. So faith is belief in a positive outcome.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
I would even say unbelief is faith in a negative outcome.
Okay. Yeah, because you're believing in the opposite. So it is actually a faith too.
Right? Because you're just believing in the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because that can cause anxiety, worry. So what do we do in that situation? And this is where Jesus said, remember he said to the father, because I remember the father with the sick child or the child that was dying, right? Saying, God or Jesus, I believe, but help me with my unbelief.
Unbelief, yes.
And I remember I read that so many times. I'm like,
Why would you say that? Yeah. Why
Like,
would
what do you mean? Like,
help me with my unbelief?
I believe, but help me with my unbelief. How can
Okay.
you have both? You can totally have both.
Yeah.
It's because a double-minded
Is unstable.
man is unstable in all his ways.
And that's why our prayers don't get answered.
And that's the thing, because your focus is on two completely different things. So what Jesus
you have
did,
to get rid of that belief.
so you got, you can even put it this way: you have to shift your focus 100%
Right.
on faith.
Right.
What is it? The expectation of a positive outcome.
Oh my goodness, Jimmy! Every day I'm constantly reminding myself of the definition of faith. Being sure of what you hope for. And in the car, I'll be like, Lord, I'm sure of what I hope for, and I'm certain of what I don't see. And then I'll open my eyes and I'm like, I'm driving. I've told Reg this so many times where, would you believe that? Because I put on, what is it, 102.5 is K-Love.
K-Light.
Yeah,
K-Light.
K-Love.
Oh, is it K-Love now?
Christian station. K-Love, I'm pretty sure.
102. I have so many jingles in my head.
So anyways, it sounds like K-pop, but it's K-Love. But there are so many times when I'm driving and I'll pull my hand up and I'll look, what the heck?
You do that at red light. You do that at red
No, I do it like
Okay. So there's not people like that. Okay.
It runs on the song, and sometimes I'll be bawling because I'll be like praying in the spirit or whatever. And I tell Reg this, and this is what I hate the most when I share these things with him. This is why I don't share that much with him. I'll tell him, and I'll be so excited. I was bawling the way home, and you can't do that because you're gonna get it. And I'm like,
You're like, bro, that's not the point of the story. That's not the point of the story.
I was praying for you.
Completely goes over his head. Over his head.
It does that. You know how you're like so fired up, and then he just puts a thing.
So just douse out your fire with water. It's like,
I just wanted to share that with you, but yeah.
I think as guys, we tend to do that. I realize
he's so protective, right? And he's so,
he is very protective.
Like one time, Avril wanted to go biking to Dollarama, our place. That's quite a ways. It's not too far.
Not really.
Broad daylight.
Yeah.
And he was like,
and there's a sidewalk.
And he's like, you're letting her go? And I'm like,
it's the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's in the neighborhood.
She has to get out of the house at one point in her life, because my thinking is, and even the girls think is, God's with me. And sometimes they've joked around it. God's with me. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. No one's going to kidnap me. God's with me, But he doesn't think that way. He's like, there are a lot of, you got to be,
that causes anxiety, worry. Again.
To him. But like to us, we're like, I have no problem with it. I'm like, yeah, go.
Well, that verse comes to mind. Put all of your trust in God. What in Proverbs?
There's so many.
Trust God in all of your ways.
Oh, that's Proverbs 3, verse 25.
See,
is it? What?
Something like that. You want to look it up?
Oh, now I gotta look it up.
This is the thing. It's like I know Bible verses. I just don't know the address.
Garage.
It's like no. It says it's some. At least I can. At least I know the book. Okay. At least I know the book. I just don't know the exact address.
Proverbs 3. Yeah, I was right. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your
own understanding in all of your ways. Yeah.
And He will direct your path.
Yeah. You gotta tell Reg that every time he's overprotective, like to the extreme.
Yeah.
I just do that. Yeah. Like if Bianca were to do that with me, or if anybody were to do that with me, where I'd have a certain mindset. If you were to just interject with a Bible verse, I find I can't fight that.
Yeah.
I can't argue it. And I'll just shut up. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, you're right.
You know what? One of my biggest struggles was, and it doesn't even have to do with marriage, but I used to, like, even when the kids were young, one of my biggest struggles was my mind would always tell me something bad's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen.
Really?
Yes.
I never thought that way.
I actually spoke to someone at the church. I won't say who it was. I still remember who it was. We were at a camp and they told me that they had the same thing. And I was like, you're kidding. I'm not the only one. And I felt like so good because like I felt bad that they felt that way too. But I was like, wow, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Because it was such a struggle. Like seriously, I would think such bad, horrible things. Yeah. And it was a, what would you call it? I guess a stronghold for me because even now I know that the enemy will still try to, but then this is what I was looking up, this verse that's really helped me. 2 Corinthians 10:5, casting down imaginations and every and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing it into captivity, so taking it captive, every thought to the obedience of Christ. So this verse, and I always forget where it is, but I know like the verse and what it means to me, because throughout the day, there are so many thoughts that go into our heads, so many. And one of the enemy knows that this was a struggle for me before. And so every single day he will try to, oh, Julianne's at school. Oh, she's, she might get in an accident. Or, oh my God. And they're really bad thoughts. And I'm like, no, I can't. And you know what? This is my favorite line now lately. It's like, I cast down that imagination. That's in my imagination.
Do you find when you actually say it?
Oh, yes. It's so helpful, and it's gone.
Words have power.
Gone.
Like, people don't realize words have power. Like, don't just think it in your head. Actually say it.
It happens whenever I'm in the car, because that's when all the thoughts will come. Oh, Reg is going to fall off the roof or something. I'm serious.
Really? I never think of that.
And I know it's not me. I know it's not me, because this is a stronghold that was taken care of. But the enemy will always, remind you of this is how you used to. I'm going to get you to go back to this. And I'm like, nope, this verse, oh my goodness, I can't tell you. I cast down that imagination. Satan, go for it.
Yeah.
Greater is he that is in me than he that, like, I'm just pouring out all those.
It's all the scripture.
And I'm like, you can't touch me.
You need to know these things, not just in your head, but in your heart.
Yeah. And another one is, I will submit to God. And I'll literally, like, Satan, I'm talking to you right now. I'm submitting myself to God. I'm resisting you. And so get lost.
Yeah.
You have to flee. That's it.
Yep.
Done.
And then something just happens.
Done.
Something just happens.
Yeah.
Where
In
it's
the spirit, done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, so now it's like, bring it on. Bring it on.
That's
because I'm not going to be on the defensive.
No. I find a lot of Christians are on the defensive.
No. You can't.
You got to be on the offensive.
That's gonna wear you out.
Yeah, totally.
I'm on the offensive, so like you can't even get near me. Like I don't want you near me. You're not getting near my kids. That's it.
Maybe that's why I'm a loudmouth.
Yeah.
I say a lot of
because
things.
You need to. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but because I find like whenever there are times where I'm just by myself. Mind you, Bianca and Tata are in the house.
Well,
and
they can't hear anything.
Sometimes he can because they're like, huh? Just heard a noise. But I'll say things like, this is the battle that I've been fighting. It'll come up every so often for the past 5 years. So ever since I started at Planet Fitness, I'll wake up, I'll go sit on the toilet. I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. And I'll be like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Like, I catch myself. Because I'm like, the moment I give into that, because I've done it maybe once or twice where I gave into it, it was the worst day ever. I'm like, I'm just exhausted. And I put the blame on everybody else.
Yeah.
So now, whenever that happens, I catch myself saying it. I'm like, oh man, I'm so tired. No, I'm not. I ain't tired at all.
You're like a crazy person. Don't you feel that? Because I've done that. And I'll be like, oh man, Reggie's going to hear me in here.
Well, did I tell you the story of... So I was still in Bible college. I think it was still in my first year. Maybe. This is when Jojo moved over to Barrie. Okay. So they had their new house there. And he asked for help with his landscaping.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Did I tell you the story?
Was it when you hurt your foot?
So I hurt my I hurt my foot and I was tired. But I promised him, listen, I'm going to help. Right? With Ray and Ron. Right? And I woke up that day and I'm like, oh, God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. My ankle is hurting. I'm exhausted. And it's like, I just
You had every excuse.
I had every excuse. But the moment, again, Spirit just came over me. It's like, no, I'm not tired. And the other thing in the back of my head and in my heart is, I love my brother. And I'm like, I actually, again, going through my head, it's like, I actually have an opportunity to help him.
That's right.
Because there are, with Jojo, there aren't many opportunities to help him because he's always the one helping.
You're right.
So when he asks for help, it's like, yeah, I'll help you. Like, it's just, it's just in me now because it's like, I want to help the helper. The one that's always helping, right? So it's like, so when that happened, all of a sudden, the emotion and the physical feeling of being tired and hurt, it just went away. And it was one of those moments where I physically felt a difference. Where it's like, wow, like it's just gone because I rebuked it. And it
You'd be
helped.
surprised how it connects with you in your head, physical. Like when you're always saying, I'm so sleepy. Oh, this hurts. And I tell Reg this all the time.
Stop saying it. Just stop saying it.
Yeah, and he makes
Don't say it.
so, yeah, sometimes he just makes fun of me and he'll be like, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. You know, and I'm like, I'm dealing with a child here.
You know what I do? You know what I do? If Bianca ever says, "Oh, my head hurts," smack. I rebuke it. It hurts still. And she's like, "Why don't you do that?"
So don't do it again.
She doesn't do it anymore. She doesn't do it anymore. She's like, "Oh, I know better not to say it in front of Jimmy."
It's really a mind.
Okay. I remember I was having this conversation with Bianca. I have this conversation with a lot of people, but I'll say, the thoughts in our head, right, will then turn, or they determine. Determine is the right word.
Yeah.
The thoughts in our head determine the feelings in our heart.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the feelings in our heart
Determine
our actions.
Yeah.
So
all connected.
one of the things that I've learned and that I've practiced and that I've realized is humans, people, for the most part, why do we do the things that we do? 9.9 times out of 10, it's because we feel like doing it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of things.
Because we want to. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so if I know I'm only going to do the things that I want to do because I feel it, like I'm only going to do what I want to do because I feel like doing it, right? At the end of it, it's like, is there a way for me to change that? And yes, because there's a step before that, and it's the thoughts in our head. So if we can, this is the greatest superpower that God has ever given us. We have the power to choose.
Yeah.
Choose our thoughts.
Yeah.
Choose our thoughts, right? Because there's always two sides to something. So there's a negative side, there's a positive side to things, right? So we have the power to choose to see the positive side of things,
The good or the bad. Yeah.
or the negative side of things. So again, everything's connected to what we focus on. And if what we focus on in our heads is positive, guess what? That's going to determine the feelings, literal feelings in our heart. So we have the power to adjust that. Again, in the end, we're going to do what we want to do because we feel like doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, so lately my prayers have been, God, I know how this works now. So help me to feel like doing XYZ, the right thing.
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't feel like doing it, I'm more inclined to not do it.
Right.
So, and then God brings me right back to his word. It's like, this is what you want to think about. This is what you want to focus on. It's like, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to focus on. And then the practical things that I do is, so I use YouTube a lot. I have a YouTube premium account.
Okay.
Right? And YouTube is my go-to because when I drive, it's like, I can just click on the mic. Hey, look up verses or podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Podcasts is my thing that I've been listening to about focusing on this verse or this verse or this verse.
Yeah.
And dude, after about 15 minutes on listening to words or people talk about a set verse, like what is it? My latest verse that I've been going to is what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It's not envious. It's not jealous. Right? So I'm like, God, put in podcasts relating to this verse.
Yeah.
Right? And then all these podcasts will come up and I'll be like, click this one.
Yeah.
And I'll just hear two people talking about what love is and the mind. And then literally in 15 minutes, my mind and my heart is so at ease. And I feel like I just got this boost of energy for the rest of the day. And I'm like, God, thank you so much. And then I'll literally sing this. Oh, this is my go-to song too. It's a VeggieTales song, but it's not a popular one. So it goes, I thank God for this day, for the sun in the sky, for my mom, for my dad, for my piece of apple pie, for my home. No, that's the ending of it. For the home on the ground, for my love that's all around. That's why I say thanks every day, because a thankful heart is a happy heart. I'm glad for what I have. That's an easy way to start. For the love that he shares and he listens to my prayers. That's why I say thanks every day. Who showed me Veggie Tales? It was you. Wow, you still remember that? That's an old one.
Yeah.
That's like
that is the one with Madame Blueberry.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
and I used to have this little placard that said, "A thankful heart is a happy heart."
Yeah.
That is such an important thing to remember.
Dude, everything God says
Yeah.
is such an important thing to remember.
Yeah.
I guess we'll end it there.
Okay.
Man. Okay, I need to have you on these podcasts more because one.
Give me some notice. I literally just came here for Bianca.
On Thursday.
On Friday?
No.
I thought I was coming here for Bianca's interview.
Yeah, and then afterwards you're gonna come do this.
Oh, I thought you were joking.
When am I ever joking about that? Podcast, serious conversation.
Okay.
I don't ever joke about that.
Okay, we'll have different hats next time then.
Yeah, I got different hats. Okay, it's fine. So anyways, we'll end this podcast at this. Again, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Until
Anytime.
next time, peace.
Bye.
Peace out.